All right, guys, and welcome back to the First Team Fantasy Podcast. Me and Derek here, and we're first going to go through the injury report for this week. And some of them, given that it's only Thursday, and what we saw out of the Niners in week one, we know a lot of
Yeah.
injuries aren't going to be disclosed until the very last second, but it is still important to know who hasn't been practicing going into the weekend, so on and so forth. Because if they don't practice on Friday, a lot of times more than not, it's an indicator that they aren't going to play on Sunday.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with the first game of the week, the Bills at the Dolphins, where on the Bills side of the ball, we don't really have any significant offensive players missing time. Taron Johnson, cornerback, is going to be out, so it's probably going to be even better for the Miami pass catchers.
Yeah.
On the Dolphins side of the ball, Raheem Mostert is going to miss this game, and Malik Washington, rookie wide receiver, is also going to miss. Um, Devon Achane is currently questionable in a game time decision, so that's something to monitor going in. He has been, as Derek, you were saying earlier, there's like been positivity
Yeah.
surrounding like that he will start, but the question is whether or how much he will play, whether or not he does start.
Yeah.
So going on to our next game, the Raiders at the Ravens. The Raiders are actually um, they have a few people listed on this. Their center Andre James, tackle Colton Miller, and then center Jackson Powers were all limited in practice, and then Tyree Wilson, Richardson did not practice. Kyle Van Noy for the Ravens did not practice, and then Roquan and another linebacker were limited for the Ravens. So not really any skill players for either team, but with those offensive linemen all hurt for the Raiders, that's something
Yeah.
to pay attention to because if they're not able to run the ball, that'll really hurt them. Chargers at the Panthers, no real. I mean, Josh Palmer was limited with a knee, but he didn't really do too much in week one, anyways.
Yeah.
And then on the Panthers side of the ball, no one really significant. Moving into the Saints and Cowboys, um, the Saints tackle was limited in practice, and then Marshawn Lattimore, Tyrann Mathieu, Foster Moreau, among significant names that did not practice today. And for the Cowboys, Brandon Cooks had a vet rest day yesterday. Jake Ferguson did not practice, and then no one really too significant except for Zach Martin.
Yeah.
Did not. He was limited, but that's really all. No one too significant in those either. And then looking at the Bucks and Lions, there doesn't seem to be. I mean, Antoine Winfield didn't practice. That could be even better for the Lions pass catchers.
Yeah.
Um, and then Jamison Williams was limited in practice for the Lions, as was Penei Sewell. So two big names to pay attention to. For the Colts and Packers, the next game, um, Josh Downs was limited. I mean, the Colts have some defenders that didn't practice, but Malik Willis might be at the helm. So
It might not matter.
yeah. And then on the Packers side of the ball, um, Josh Jacobs was limited in practice, but Marshawn Lloyd was as well. I'm kind of expecting them to just take it easy with Josh Jacobs, given the fact that Jordan Love didn't practice. He's still doubtful. Unfortunately, they haven't listed him as out yet. With as you have him in our main league, I have him in one of our secondary leagues. It's really annoying when we get to this point and they still just won't list him as out when it's pretty obvious that
Yeah.
he's not going to play.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, Jordan Love was the only Packer to not practice on Wednesday. And it says Matt LaFleur is keeping the door pretty open for Love to start.
He's praying that somehow Love will wake up and just feel good enough to play so he doesn't have to play Malik Willis. I mean,
Exactly.
I don't blame him.
Then moving on to the Browns and Jaguars. David Njoku did not practice. It's looking very unlikely that he's going to play.
Yeah.
Um, and then for the Jaguars, their tackle Cam Robinson was limited, but no skill position players. The Niners at the Vikings, one that we are obviously paying close attention to. Christian McCaffrey was limited in practice, and Jawan Jennings was also limited. On the Vikings side of the ball, Jordan Addison did not practice, and their center Andrew, or no, their center Garrett Bradbury, my apologies, was limited in practice. As for the Niners, um, he said, "My mentality is I'm playing. That's where I'm at. That's how I am every week. I'm not lying. I think as soon as a player says, maybe I'll play, I won't, that's not a good mentality to go into a week where you're kind of on the fence. So I'm ready to go."
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So we're not getting any type of information from the Niners yet again this week. It'll be seemingly a game time thing that we figure out. But the next game, the Seahawks at the Patriots. Kenneth Walker did not practice yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Tyler Lockett was limited, but he is a veteran. So a lot of vets don't practice on Wednesday. And that's pretty much it. I mean, they had a lot of their defenders limited or not practicing, but they are playing the Patriots, so we'll see. Um, as for the Patriots, Antonio Gibson was limited, and Ramondre Stevenson had a vet rest day. So other than that, not too much.
Mm-hmm.
Jets at Titans, very short one, thankfully. And no one on either side of the ball too important to pay attention to. So on to the next one, the Giants at the Commanders. Darius Slayton's in concussion protocol, which,
Of
all
course.
right. How often? Okay. Zach Ertz for the Commanders had a vet rest day, and that's about it. So looking good there. Cardinals and Rams. Rams going into Arizona. The Cardinals, it's Kyler Murray, knee full. Okay, why do you have him listed on the injury report if he just was a full participant? Anyways, for the Rams, we have no one yet. We already know that Puka's on the IR. So
Yeah.
it's not something we're going to have to discuss for the next 3 weeks at the very least. Joe Burrow, oh, for the Bengals and the Chiefs, Joe Burrow, they are listing full participants at practice. T. Higgins was not at practice. It's probably not likely that he's going to play this week.
Yep.
And that was about it. It looks like Jamar Chase is fully back and fine. And then Hollywood Brown did not practice for the Chiefs. Everybody else is healthy. Steelers and Broncos, Russ was limited. And that's really it, but obviously important to pay attention to. For the Broncos, Josh Reynolds did not practice with an Achilles injury. Devon Vele, the rookie wide receiver that was very involved in the offense, did not practice with a rib injury. Their center, Luke Wattenberg, did not practice with an ankle injury. And the Broncos are already banged up after a week one
You see
loss.
Esteem? Audric Estime, or Esteem, whatever. He's going on the IR.
Really?
Yeah, he's out at least the next 4 weeks. I saw it.
Yeah, no, I did not see that.
I saw it very recently. What's the exact injury? Give me half a second. I can pull it. It was his Ankle. He's placed on the injured reserve and he'll miss at least the next 4 weeks. So that's
Wow.
more the Jaleel McLaughlin being right behind Javante.
Yeah, it's a lot more Jaleel McLaughlin. It's obviously tough because it's not a good offense, but moving forward, that's something we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
The Bears at the Texans. Keenan Allen did not practice. Roma Dunze did not practice. And for the Texans, Dalton Schultz did not practice. And the Eagles and Falcons play on Monday, so we're not going to have much of an update for that yet. But with that, we are going to move on to tonight's game.
Yeah, and it should be a pretty good game. We have a couple names out that we, had talked through, but it's the Bills at the Dolphins. The over/under is 48 points. The Dolphins favored by 2.5, which technically favors the Bills by 0.5. So, I mean, it's kind of a 50-50 toss-up who they think is going to win this one. But on the Bills side of the ball, we're still, obviously, we're rolling Josh Allen. We're rolling James Cook. If you drafted Kincaid, you have to roll him. You drafted him, fifth to sixth round somewhere, maybe seventh if you were lucky. These are just guys that are obvious starts. The receiver room, I'm comfortable starting Keon Coleman in the flex. Um, but Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel, I like Khalil Shakir. They found him in the end zone. He played 53% of the snaps. As we talked about, Mac Hollins actually got more snaps than him. I'm only worried starting him or Curtis Samuel because it's Thursday night and it's not always the greatest thing to start off with, possibly not the greatest performance, but I'm looking for the Bills to throw the ball more tonight. They got to start going through the air. It worked for them against the Cardinals. Interdivision game. I don't know if they're going to get away with kind of sticking to the exact script that they planned coming into the game, but if I'm picking between the two, I like Khalil Shakir a lot more than Curtis Samuel. So if you are having to go to one of those, I'm going Khalil. But I mean, really outside of that, Tyler Bass, sure, if you want. He did make both his field goals, all his extra points. The defense, I'm staying away from the defense after how I saw they played against the Cardinals and at home. So, but that's really it for the Bills side of the ball. We have a couple guys we really like, and I'm curious to see how the wide receiver room shakes out.
Yeah, definitely. And over to the Dolphins side of the ball, where I mean, it's kind of along the same lines. If Devon Achane does play, it's something you're going to have to closely monitor until game time, which this is the thing that kind of sucks about, the Thursday night games is not everybody gets off in time to closely monitor their phone until,
Mm-hmm.
which, yeah, it is cool though. Sleeper does have a new auto sub feature where for situations like that, if you discuss it with your league, you can have it to where if your guy doesn't go at the last second, it'll auto sub someone else in.
That is cool.
But um, yeah, that just makes it tough for those game time decisions on like the Thursday, Monday night games. And if you don't have the option of closely watching that, I mean, I guess I would be okay with putting in Jeff Wilson, just knowing that
Mm-hmm.
when Raheem Mostert went out in the last game, he did come in and get the volume that Mostert would have gotten, and they're never going to be just a one running back type of team. They're going to use multiple guys and get multiple guys a lot of work. So if that's a route you want to go, just being safe, I would not hate that. Um, I'd just say Jeff Wilson more than Jalen Wright because this could be. I mean, it's a divisional matchup already in week 2. It's going to be a playoff type atmosphere, big implications already. When it gets down to the nitty gritty, they're going to go with a guy that they used before that they know they can trust rather than a rookie in, a tight game getting his first carries. So other than that, I mean, it's very simple. Jalen Waddle's off the injury report. So you're starting him, you're starting Tyreek Hill. As for everybody else, I mean, no. If you want to go with Tua. I mean, I feel like Tua always starts well in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, especially they're playing in Miami. They always do well during these parts of the year when it's hotter. It's always when when it gets cold that the Dolphins tend to start. I
Yeah.
mean, no pun intended, but freezing up a little bit. Their offense just disappears. It does. It's just so funny that they're fish and they don't. Anyways, yeah, that's really about it. If you want to go Jason Sanders, why it really could be a high scoring game, so I don't hate that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Might stay away from these defenses in this one, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got anything to add or
No,
that you want to say about the Dolphins?
just that Achan, his highest snap percentage in a game in his career is 63%. And that's when, he's completely healthy and not a game time decision, seeing how his workout goes pre-game. So without Mostert,
Yeah,
yeah, at the very least, I think it's fair to say Jeff Wilson is going to get a solid workload tonight. So if you did pick him up and you have injuries at the running back position and you have to throw someone in, I mean, he is a fair play.
yeah, that was the only reason why. They're going to use multiple guys, and Mostert is out. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, with that, good luck, guys. Week 2 starts tonight.
Gosh.
Enjoy the game because I know we will. And come back next time. Take more reps with the first team.
Yes, sir.